É caminho de orgulho e ação. Lá tem samba até de manhã. Uma giga em cada andar. O meu lugar é cercado de luta e suor. Esperança num mundo melhor. E cerveja pra comemorar. O meu lugar tem seus mitos e seres de luz. É bem perto de Oswaldo Cruz. Cascadura vai no Pirajá.
Bom dia! Charles Clark, your real estate investment broker, here with another bright idea. Yes, I brought the hat back, and you will be seeing more hats like this in different colors because it's all about the bright idea. Welcome to the Aspire Beast Council. I am Charles Anthony D. Clark, your host, your investment broker, here to help you analyze deals and help you build your real estate business, because it's not about buying a property. It's about building the real estate business. They just so happen to be real estate properties, right? So first off and foremost, we like to give a shout out to our sponsor, Next Home My Way, my brokerage, where I hold my license because I am a licensed real estate broker in the state of Wisconsin. And I hang my license up at the Next Home My Way brokerage, where we are located at 5151 South Howell Avenue, across the street from the airport. And where we hold it down, we have a boutique of brokerage here. I would definitely say we have 20 plus agents, growing, always looking for new talent, always looking for talent that's been in the industry, but looking for something different, something new, a new start to help build their brand, because it's all about building your brand. It's no longer about the franchise. This is not a knock to my franchise here who I work for, but it's about the individual agents and them building up their real estate portfolio, and their business and their brand. And that is definitely what this brokerage does here at Next Home My Way, for the simple fact that I am in our studio recording this, and which I do every week. I do the deal analysis. I do the Aspire Beast Council podcast, and I hold our monthly meetings for Aspire on the second Wednesday, which our meeting this Wednesday at 5:30 at 7 to 7:30, located at our headquarters. So again, if you're an agent, broker looking to make a change, definitely reach out to our leadership. I am one of them. I am the director of agent development, as well as a broker of Raise the Standard. Um, but reaching out to Jose, Carlos, or Angel, we can get you set up and get a great start, and help you build your brand. And you can use our amazing studio that we have here. I will do some videos of the behind the scenes so that you can see all the things that we have here in the studio as well. But always a big shout out to Next Home My Way. And again, Angel, Jose, Carlos, because they give me the permission to put these on and build my brand, as well as also bringing exposure to Next Home My Way. So thank you, which leads me into Raise the Standard, which is my team, that I have here at Next Home My Way. Raise the Standard is, if you want to say my brokerage within the brokerage, my team, that I have created, and we live off of three models. Raise the standard of living. If the deal doesn't make the client lives better, their family, our lives better, in the community, we don't want to be a part of the deal. We're all about raising the standard of living. Everyone's life should be better after the deal. And if it's not, we don't want to be a part of it. Our second motto is be better by being better. This is something that I got when I was a high school quarterback, and my coach got tired of me always trying to go for the touchdown on the very first play. And he was like, Charles, just get 5 yards. Just move the chain, right? And that's one of our models that has just get better. Just try to improve. If it's 1 yard, 5 yards, 1%, 5%, 20%, 100%. Just try to get better the next day, and we'll grow from there. And then last one is, what's your legacy? Why are you doing this, right? Why you want to be an agent? Why you want to be in real estate investing? What is your why, right? What is your big why? I have a son, and that's part of my legacy, is that I want to leave a better world for him to grow up in and become the man that I hope that he becomes, which is way better than me. So having that mentality of being someone who is always trying to make people's lives around better and always trying to make themselves better, I think that's just a great legacy to leave behind. So if you want to be a part of that, right? If you want to be a part of Next Home My Way, or if you want to be a part of my team that pretty much chase investors and trying to build real estate investment business, if that's something that does intrigue you, we're always taking new clients. I'm always looking for new agents that want to be in the investment world or learn it more. So reach out, DM me, and we'll go from there. For Expire, Beast Counsel, deal analysis. This is why we're here, right? And the Beast Counsel is based on the Aspire acronym that we created with our calculator. It's a system to help you frame how to analyze deals so that you can ask the same questions every time, so that you can get the results that you need, so that you can move forward. That's the whole premise of Aspire. Keys moving the chain, right? Which that goes back into what I just shared with you from I learned. And that's kind of what we implement, is that how do we keep moving the chains? How do we keep moving forward? How do we keep moving towards the goal that we set for ourselves? And how do we hold ourselves accountable so that we can do that? And so the Aspire acronym that we've created does that wholeheartedly. So we're going to go through the deal analysis, and I want to just frame it for you guys. So A is for asset. That is the address or asset that we're actually looking at. And so you should do two things with that, and that is find all the information you can possibly on that property. And then what do you think you're going to try to do? Are you going to burr it? Are you going to buy and hold it? Are you going to fix and flip it? You have to have some framework so we can start understanding how to run the numbers. So those are the two things you need to do with A. S is seller situation. Who is selling and why, right? Is it a person? Is it a distressed person? Is it a city selling it? Is it a LLC selling it? Is it a bank? Who is selling this property and why, right? And so that also frames the negotiation of the property once you get into that, but it also helps you with analyzing the deal of what you think will be the best approach to trying to get the deal under contract. P is for purchase price and purchase assumption. This is what is they're asking for, what is the seller asking for, and then what do you think it should go for at this moment based on the information you have, right? Those are not the same things, and sometimes they can be the same things, but most of the time they're not, right? The seller always want more. As you being the buyer or investor, you always want it for less. And not necessarily just because you want it for less, but you just naturally assume that the investor always want way more than what they should get, and then the buyer always asks for way less than what it's worth. Excuse me. I is for investment or improvement, right? And 9 times out of 10, every deal that we're going to probably pretty much look at is there's going to be some form of forced appreciation, because that is the strategy that we focus on, because that is the only, I don't want to say only, but pretty much that is the only way for the strategy that we want to use to redeploy the capital, right? We never want capital sitting. We always want it using. So if we fix, we burr, we want that money back out so we can go get the next deal. If it's a fix and flip, obviously we're selling it and we want to use that money to go get the next deal. Rarely are we going to be really looking at things that are buy and hold. Not to say we don't come across those deals when we do it in a live deal analysis, because that's a possibility that, hey, you should just purchase this at this price because this is actually a good deal and such and such. we don't frown upon those deals. That's just not what we search for. And that's kind of what I share with people sometimes, that just because something cash flowing doesn't mean it's a good deal for you in your strategy, right? And some people struggle with understanding that because they are so attuned to looking for good deals, right? So if something's a good deal, is cash flowing, so therefore I don't need to I need to go after this deal, when in reality you shouldn't go after that deal because it doesn't accomplish the goal that you're wanting. I always kind of bring up a consultation that I had because it just summarized this exact thing. And that individual was like sharing with me, like they wanted to scale and they were struggling and they didn't know what they needed to do. And so through my consultation and, talking with them, I asked them like, hey, have you recently bought anything? And they was like, yeah, yep, we actually did. And it was a great investment. We're cash flowing, we're making money off of it. I just don't know what to do now to get the next deal. And I was like, well, why aren't you using that deal to get the next deal? And they was like, what do you mean? And I was like, well, obviously you put cash in there, so why aren't we not pulling that money out to go get the next deal? He's like, well, I can't. And I was like, why you can't? Well, my money hasn't been sitting long enough, or, we didn't force the appreciation enough. They just put enough money in the property to actually get the rents higher, which again, that helps overall and from a DSCR loan standpoint, right? If, hey, rents were 900 and now they're 1100, right? That helps. But overall, if you didn't truly improve the property and you just went in there and painted and, put some new blinds in there and updated the fixtures, yeah, that's going to get you more rent, but that didn't truly improve the property to where you can now go pull out $40,000, right? And that was their situation. So, and this is where having good representation and not just, and this is me knocking on probably some real estate agents, but that's the difference between working with a real estate agent and working with a real estate investment broker, right? Because being able to articulate the difference between something that is just cash flowing and something that you want to redeploy your capital and have it cash flow, right? Those are two different strategies. Those are not the same thing. And if you just buy something because of cash flow, but you want to scale, you're trying to get to 10 units in the next 3 years, the last thing you need to do is buy something that just cash flow and you can't get that money back out, right? Not just that wasn't that the only reason why I'm saying that it's a bad deal is because of the strategy that they're trying to execute, right? If they just was like, I'm just trying to buy properties that cash flow and that's what it is, and I'll find money, well, then yes, that was a perfect transaction. But if you're saying, I don't know where to find my money, I have this money and I want to scale, well, the only thing we can keep doing is trying to redeploy that money that you have and keep using it over and over again as much as possible until you scale enough where people want to give you money, or you are exposing yourself to more and more money because you keep doing this redeployment, right? You're doing some fix and flips where that's, you had 50 in that fix and flip and now you got 70, right? Now you got that 70, you put it in a BRRRR. Now you might only get 40 out. Well, now you take that 40 and put it back in a fix and flip. Now you're at 60, right? Now you got that 60. I'm gonna do another fix and flip. Now we're at 80. Now you take that 80, put it in a BRRRR. Now you get 60 out, right? That is a strategy that's entirely different than someone that's saying, I'm buying something that cash flows, right? And so that's what we want to do here, is help people better understand how to strategize, how to build a real estate investment business. Because again, people who buy like that, they're buying one-offs. They're, oh, this is a good deal, let me buy that deal. Like, does that deal fit the portfolio that you're trying to create? Does that deal fit your strategy, right? Does that deal fit? So to me, it's not just buying a property, right? We're not just buying a property, we're building a real estate investment business. And so there got to be some strategy, there got to be some understanding, there got to be business plans, there got to be structure to what we're doing. And just randomly buying a property because of cash flow is not the right thing. You're being a hobbyist, and that's what you're being, right? You're not really being a true business owner. You're being someone who is not taking in true consideration what they're ultimately trying to accomplish, right? So that's one of the things that I always want to promote and ensure that people understand that, working with an agent is not the same thing as working with a real estate investment broker, right? And working with a real estate investment agent. Those are not the same things, right? Most agents are just helping you transact and buy a property, and that's not what you're trying to do. As soon as you buy a property, you bought a business, and because you're collecting income. And if you're not collecting income, you're trying to, right? It's fix and flip. Once you buy it, you're not collecting income, but you're trying to turn that thing into something where you can get income from it. So that's a business. It's not a property. And so the sooner you realize that, the better off you're going to be. And that's the goal of working with someone like me and my team, is that we help you realize that sooner than later. Back to R. I know where I was. R is for revenue, and that revenue could be cash flow, monthly cash flow, or it could be the profit from the sale from a fix and flip. So we need to understand that number. And then E, full circle. So what you started with, hopefully that's the answer at E, because you always need an exit strategy, and we need to know what we're going to do with this, right? So ultimately, there's 5 exit strategies. It's buy and hold, BRRRR, fix and flip, seller financing or creative seller financing, or um, wholesaling, right? So those are the 5 outcomes that you kind of look for when you are analyzing deals. Obviously, there's, I really feel like those are really your 5, because like if you're saying, hey, I'm leasing or as a commercial, pretty much those are the same outcomes you're going to have. You're just dealing with different clients. Excuse me. All right. So that's the framework we have. That is what we base everything off of. Aspire is, is a whole system in itself, and what we're trying to create here and build. We with our investor group, we just didn't want to meet up, right? We didn't want to just have people come, have drinks, and talk about real estate, and feel like we don't have much to offer you beyond just a conversation. We feel like you can do that at other meetup groups. Other meetup groups, they get together, they get at bars, they do all those things where they just have drinks and have people meet up there and do real estate. They talk real estate. We wanted to do something different. We wanted to talk about deals. We want to actually bring deals. We actually want to talk about systems and things of that nature. And not to say other places don't do those things, because they absolutely do. We just wanted to put a framework. I just found, like, as me being a broker who's working with clients who are trying to do that, a lot of my time is working with helping educate them and help better prepare them and help them change their mindset on doing real estate investing. I feel like 90% of people who come into this space, they have a retail mentality, they have a consumer mentality, and they don't have an investor mentality, they don't have a business owner mentality. And that's a lot of some of the work that I need to do. So creating this ecosystem and having some control over it was the best fit for the service that we wanted to provide to the people that are part of our group, and then our clients as well. Devin is the other co-owner of Aspire, and he's a commercial broker, and that was something he was also felt like he was running into as well, is that he had to kind of educate his clients, and we just felt like we were spending a lot of time early on with those clients helping educate them, and felt like we didn't have a space to kind of either send them to understand what they were getting instead of just the random books. Obviously I've read random books about real estate investing, and that's where I got my knowledge base from. Also having my background in finance. So those are the things that we kind of did, and that's what we kind of built this around. It was kind of self-serving. These are all things that we kind of went through, and we felt like, well, we have this, we want to offer this, and see if we can help more people come to the conclusion that we came to. So with that being said, let's try to get our first deal done. Not our first deal, but let's work on our next deal. All right. So we are going to be using the Aspire Beast Council. As you can see right here, this is the calculator that we use. And when you become part of the Aspire group, we do give you access to this once you are part of the membership. And then if you also join up to our execution lab, it is the Aspire Execution Lab. And that is a program that we offer to people, which I'll get into later, but that summarizes a lot of the things that we offer to people. So with that being said, the Aspire Beast Council, this is where we do our calculator. And so we will start off by asking the first question. So it just goes through it. And again, the reason why I love using this is because it's trying to have you tell a story. And I feel like telling a story about the deal that you're trying to accomplish, the deal that you're trying to do. Sorry, here, the deal that you're trying to do. It really makes it better than you just throwing in numbers. It's really trying to help you understand how you can put the deals together and make the most of that deal and better understanding it. And because you don't want to just put in numbers and then you don't understand why the outcomes are what they are and how you can better situate yourself, right? So that is one of the things that we're trying to accomplish here. Sorry, I'm trying to change the screen. So give me 1 second here. All right. All right, here we go. So the first one we're going to do, let me pull it up. So this is a deal. Right now it's on South 76th Street in West Allis, Wisconsin, which is a small suburb of Milwaukee. Now I'm gonna go a little bit in on this one and just let's kind of talk about it, right? West Allis is an up and coming neighborhood. If you don't know about Milwaukee and the surrounding neighborhoods and cities, West Allis is one of the up and coming ones. This is a city that's genuinely been investing in their community, investing in their downtown. There's a whole bunch of apartment complexes getting built up around their downtown area. It's one of those situations where, you know, the city is kind of small. Downtown area is like one main street. And so they're building a lot of things around there. It's becoming some of a place that people want to go to from the inside the city. They have a lot of events going on in their community. So I would say this is very much an up and coming neighborhood. And so it's a desirable neighborhood. So families are wanting to move there, and investors definitely want to buy in there and invest in there as well. So when you see a property that's been sitting on the market for 125 days, you know something's wrong, right? You know something's wrong for the simple fact that this is a very desirable area. Investors want to live there. Families, individuals want to live there because of the community and the things that they're offering. So when you see something that's been on the market for 125 days, you know something's wrong, right? Decent size. It's a 2-bedroom, 1 bath. But here is the kicker, I believe, is right here. $650 is month to month. Long-term tenants in both units, rent producing duplexes. That's incorrect, right? And so to me, I don't want to knock but I don't think you can say that if you truly analyze the deal, right? Because if I bought it at $250,000 and the rents are $650 each, that means I'm getting $1,300. That doesn't pay that mortgage and all the other expenses. So it's not cash flowing. So again, this is where, like, I'm not gonna knock the agent, but this is where the difference between working with a real estate agent and working with an investment broker. I understand you are buying a business, right? And the reason why I say that is this. Here, let me. I need to be on the screen. I need to be on the screen. Because I really want to make sure that you guys understand what I'm saying in the sense of when you, as an investor, you're technically not buying the property, right? Yes, you are, right? You're buying the building, right? You are buying that building, but as an investor, that is not technically what you're buying. As an investor, you are buying the future cash flow from that property. So that's why I say you're not buying a property, you're buying a business. It just so happens to be a property. That is what it is, right? You're not buying that property. You're buying the future cash flow. So you're telling me right now the future cash flow I'm finna buy is $1,300. That's 20. That's $1,300 a month. $1,300 a month, which is, I'm trying to think. My math sucks right now. Well, 1,300 times 12. That's $15,000. So you're telling me if I divide that by 250,000 times that by 100, 6.24. That's a 6.24 cap rate, right? But that's not me taking out all the stuff. So that's just off that. So now let's say the 1,300 times 12, 15,000. Let's just assume you 40% in expenses. So that's 6,240. We're gonna minus that from the 15,000 roughly. I'm just gonna say 15,000. That's 8,760. So now let's divide that by the 250,000. Times that by 100. 3.5 cap rate, right? That's how an investor, right? That's how an investor is gonna look at this deal. That's as a homeowner, I don't care. I just want to be in West Allis. If that's what I have to pay to be in West Allis in that neighborhood, then that's what I have to pay, and I'm okay with it. Obviously, that's not happening because there's either has to be something about those long-term tenants. Again, this is where a lot of hobbyists think they're investors. This person probably had this property for a long time. They probably bought multiple properties and they probably made a lot of money, and yet they're still a hobbyist. And the reason why I say they're a hobbyist is because they're charging $650 for a property that, we're jumping ahead, but this is the point that I want to try to make. We're gonna pull in rental meter. We're gonna do 2 bedrooms, 1 baths. We're just gonna do apartments. The rent's supposed to be $1,300. So now you might be like, well, this is a great opportunity for, absolutely. This is a great opportunity because I can fix this property up and raise rents almost $700. Flip side, the seller is trying to sell this property as if they already did that. They didn't raise the rents to $1,300. They're comparing this property to something else that's in the neighborhood that recently sold and think they should be able to do the same thing. And investors don't look at properties like that. Just because this property was 1,300 square feet, it has 2 bedrooms, 1 baths, up and down. And if something down the street sold the same thing, but their rents were $1,200 and they sold for $250, they're not the same property, right? Because they already improved their property. They're already getting the rents that they're supposed to get. So therefore, that price that they're asking for of $250 is worth it. So again, I'm kind of jumping ahead because I just want to show you some of the analysis that you have to do and looking at it and saying, well, why is this sitting there? What's going on? So as I go through it, we'll break it down even more. So let's give it the stuff, right? Let's give it the information that it needs. So what I typically do as your broker is that I pull this information, right? I'm going to pull this information and the tax information, and I'm going to give it to the calculator. I'm going to ask it to run A&S because this information is here. So I'm asking it to pull all this information out. I'm going to be giving it some old information. Here, let me go back. I need to change this. So I'm just giving it a little bit more information because like I said, I ran this number back in May 9th. So, um, I want to give it some updated information. Obviously, I could have pulled that stuff now, but it is what it is. So we have our calculator. We have that going. So let me move it back over so you can see. So it's pulling all the information. Again, this is why I love this, and it tracks all this information. And then the cool thing that I have now is that I'm working with Claude. AI is being ridiculous. So now what I do is I have it run this information, and then I have Claude take the information and put it in a database for me. So it's actually really, really, really cool. Matter of fact, I will show y'all some of the things that I'm doing in the background that I would love to have some other people work with me with. But so see right here, this is one of the properties that I'm running with. I had it run the analysis of everything, and um, so I'm giving away the plot. I'm giving away the plot. But that is one of the things that I do, and it pulls this information and it put it in another database for me, and so it's just a great way for me to keep track of all the properties that I'm running. Right. So now we got the current rents. Both units are occupied, month-to-month tenants. And not to me to go ham on these sellers again, but another reason why I call them hobby is 650 was probably rents. I want to honestly probably say about 10 years ago. So these tenants probably been there for a long time, and they probably was amazing tenants, and they didn't want to raise rents on them. But that's being a hobbyist. That is not what. And there's a lot of books that say that, oh, I don't raise the rent on them because they're great tenants. They take care of the property, and I want to keep them there. In all honesty, man, if you are having tenants that are there for more than 5 to 7 years, you probably are doing them a disservice, and you're definitely doing yourself a disservice because you're probably not raising the rents enough where it makes it uncomfortable for them, and you're not helping them move on to be homeowners. As being a broker, and obviously you might say, well, you just want that because you can make money off those renters when they come buyers. No, it's off the first motto, raising the standard of living. I don't want renters forever. I want those renters to go and end up and buying their own properties, and I want them to go and buy other investments so they can help live an awesome life as well, right? I'm I'm not in this to milk my renters forever and have them stay still. Like, no, I don't want that. I want to turn over my tenants after a certain period of time, right? I feel like after 5 to 7 years, they should have gotten their lives together and they should be wanting to move on, right? Even though if it's a great neighborhood, then I should be trying to help them find a home in that neighborhood, right? Or maybe I should help them try to buy the house from me, right? And helping them out from that way. Like, that's how I look at it. Like, someone's been with me 5 to 7 years and they just like, I love this place and yep, I can afford to buy a property. I rather buy this property. I rather sell it to them than to keep it and have them pay lower rents just because I can have it paid off. Like, to me, that's not why we're in this. Like, we're literally in this to raise the standard of living. And raising the standard of living means raising the standard of living for the client, us, and the community. And our tenants are the community. So, right, it's giving me all this information. Again, this is some of the things that maybe just reading this document, I might not get all this information, right? It's giving me a lot of information, but it's not giving me everything that, having a conversation with someone else who's also an investor will give you. And this is kind of what's happening. You're telling a story and you're having a conversation with the calculator, right? You're having a conversation with it, and you are giving it information, is regurgitating it back, but then it's putting it in different things, right? So, like, for example, condition, council observation, the structure maintained older interior finish, functional but dated kitchens and bathrooms, typical deferred cosmetic improvements, mechanical systems, right? It's giving me this information, but then it's kind of no obvious evidence of major structure, because I gave it the pictures, and what I told the calculator is to look at the pictures and give me some feedback that they can based on the pictures, right? So again, is having a back and forth conversation, right? And then this is not in there. Duplexes is established in West Allis neighborhood, right? Okay, that's in there. Detached garage adds value. That doesn't tell you that, right? It just says detached garage. But this is saying, hey, the detached garage adds value. So now we got to find out what's up with the garage, right? The garage might not be working, but it's there. So like that's something that we could put money into. Month-to-month tenants provide flexibility, right? That's not in there. It just says month-to-month, but it's letting you know, hey, this is something you might work with, because you might be able to put in a deal. Hey, you have to move these tenants out. These are your problem, right? And that's how I would look at it. It's for you to move these tenants out and find a better home for them, because you have falsely allowed them to be in this place where rents are only $650, right? This is someone who've had this property for so long that they probably don't have a mortgage, and that's why they were able to keep the rents low, or they bought the property as such a long time ago that the rents were low. Built in 1910, all right? Older electrical, plumbing, HVAC should be verified. Right now, it's telling you things. Hey, you got to get a checklist, right? Current rents appear substantially below current market levels. Property has been on the market property. So this is wrong, because we know it's been on the market 125 days. So I'm going to go back and kind of just tell it to put that. So I'm going to rerun it. Hopefully it still gives me the same type of information. AI sometimes want to redo things and redo it differently because you're asking it to do different ways. So like right here, see, you can kind of tell it shortened some stuff up. It kind of regurgitated some things, but then now it's doing this. Property remains actively listed per your update. Time on the market 125. User provided. Seller is offering concession according to the MLS. So let's see what they're offering. They're not really offering anything. So it could just be assuming because it's 125 days that they're ready to give some concessions. Cannot seller motivation. I'm assuming 125 days they're at a motivation point, so that's something you have to take in consideration. Marketing generally increases the probability of seller flexibility, right? A price reduction from the previous list to 250 suggests movement towards negotiation, right? Seller motivation remains unverified, right? So that's one of the things that you have to do, right? So part of this process, obviously you shouldn't just come to this once. You should be coming back to it until, if it's definitely a deal you want to do, you should be coming back to it time and time again, right? So the purchase price, 250 per year instructions, and council will pause here before proceeding to purchase price, right? Information needed to purchase. So I am going to give it 2 other reports. So I'm going to give it a CMA report, and then I'm going to give it a market report. So CMA, I just pulled other properties around it, right? The original list price was 255. Obviously, just coming out 5 is just not the best. But obviously, again, this is the reason why I know they put it at that, right? 200 to 370 with the average sale price of 265. They think their property is worth 250 because there's other properties that sold around them that average around 265. Why would they think this? Because they are selling from a retail standpoint. If you are buying and selling single family homes for other people, most of the time as an agent, all you do is take the properties around you that sold. So what you do, you take the properties around you that sold, and then you average it out. You try to compare them, and then you say this property is going to be worth this because it's around these properties. It's very similar to these properties. So therefore, the value of this property is very similar to the other ones. So let's list it at that. That is not how investment works. Again, please understand, you are not buying the property. You are buying the future cash flow of that property. And right now, the future cash flow of this property is $1,300. That is what I'm buying. Now I can say there is the possibility, because we already did the research, there is the possibility that the rents can be $1,300. Is there some premium in there that could be? Absolutely. Hey, I'm paying a little bit more because I know what I can push this to. But to sit here and say this property is worth one of the top average properties in that neighborhood is just inaccurate, because the rents are literally $700 different from what you can get into that neighborhood on the average, right? So there's no way. And I just did the cap rate, and that was just rough. It's 3% cap rate. No investor wants that, right? No investor wants that type of cap rate. That's in, like I know there's like the lower cap rate, the higher something, right? But this is what this is producing. Like, I have to have a cap rate of 3% to sell a property that's making me around $8,000 a year to try to sell it for 250. No one's going to take 250,000 to pay for 8,000 a year. That doesn't make sense. And that's how people need to see. I'm paying you 250,000 to get $8,000 for the next 30 years. That's 240,000. That's 240,000, right? That's 240,000 I'm getting over the next 30 years. Who would do that? No one will do that, right? So like, that is what you're technically purchasing at this moment right now, is that I'm going to pay you 250,000 so I can get 8,000 for the next 30 years. That's how you got to look at this from an investor standpoint. I'm not buying this property because it's similar to the property down the street, right? I'm buying this property because I can get this cash flow from it for a certain period of time, right? And most deals I'm trying to keep between 5 and 10 years. So if I can't recoup what I need to within the 5 to next 10 years, then that's a deal I don't want to be a part of. And that's exactly what we have here. All right, so we're going through, right? We're finding out average sold price is $265, medium sold price is $240, average sold price per square foot is $164, right? I used to not understand that until I started getting more and more into investment and how people use square footage. But again, it's telling me $164. I don't think right now the rents is saying that property is worth that amount, right? 650, right? 1,300. I'm basically getting $1 a square foot right now, right? And see, that's how you got to look at it. Most of these average is obviously I'm being tongue in cheek because the 1,300 is a month, but you got to understand what I'm saying, right? I'm getting 1,300 for a 1,300 square foot home, so I'm literally getting $1 a square foot. So the council found the current pricing is above the comparable medium, is below comparable averages, toward the upper end on a price per square foot basis, less attractive because of the extended exposure 125, which increases negotiating leverage, right? This is what initial offer, right, is 230 assumed. This is the ceiling is 245, closing cost is 2.5, do deferred, financing not assumed yet, right? I use the MLS tax PDF pictures to assess the rehab budget. Assume a moderate rehab when tenants move out to increase rents and value of property. So I'm having it reused. So let me go back. I got to go back and forth. So what I basically did is I asked it to use the PDF pictures to give me a rough estimate. It's going to go through it. It's going to relook at some stuff. It's going to tell you some things that it can do, it can't do, right? Right. This is one of the things I said. It appears usable, right? That doesn't mean it's perfect, but we can probably update it. Landscaping curb appeal would benefit from cleanup, right? Kitchens appear functional but dated with older cabinet, right? So right there, I already know bathrooms are functional but show age. So those are my key things that I need to be able to fix up to improve the value of a property, right? There's pretty much kitchen, bathroom, bedroom, right? If you can add a bedroom, you can add a bath, that's always going to improve the value of the property. If you can update the kitchen and the bathrooms, that's always going to push the value of the property. Putting new flooring throughout, always going to update the value of the property. Updating windows, updating, HVAC, things of that nature. Always, putting a finished basement in. Those are all things that are always going to improve the value of a property. So when you are looking at BRRRR opportunities, those are the things that you really truly need to consider, so that you can actually maximize the force appreciation of the property. So the council rehab, right? It's just going to give you a rough. But again, this is what I love, because most people, we don't have these numbers. So I have taught this calculator to go to our local market and basically assess what we can charge for these. Because now you can use this and actually go out to people and say, hey, what would you charge? Right now I can take this list and actually reach out to these individuals and see if I can get a rough estimate of this, right? So right now it's basically saying we need a 53,000 budget, right? So if I buy it at 250, I got to put 50,000 in it. Now I'm at 300,000, right? Think about that. I'm at 300,000. They saying the average is 260. So you're already telling me I had to buy it at your price. Now I got to put 50,000 in it, and now I'm over the average price there. Don't make sense. Right. And then we already just assumed that we got to probably put a price in around 230 based on just the information that we have right now. So this is going to change that even more, right? So what we're always looking for is the MAO, right? The maximum acceptable offer, right? That's what we're trying to get to, and having all this information is going to get us to that point. So, right, we're gonna try to do this. Ideally, what would happen is that we would do a hard money, right? And to get all the money up front and do it that way. So that is basically what I'm gonna go to from that standpoint. R. So what we do for R, we're gonna take the rental report. Okay, yeah, I can use that one. It's like I said, I ran these numbers like almost a month ago, because this property is still there. Right. So please run and stop at E. So is pulling this information, right? So this is current 650. I'm just telling you, right? We said that 15,000. So the average is 13. So we obviously, the listing rents are approximately half, right? So again, this is a hobbyist. I'm sorry. And this could be someone who owns 20 units, whatever. I don't know that. But you are a hobbyist. I'm sorry. This investor is a hobbyist. And this is what happens with most investors. They think like, oh, I got this tenant in there. They're great. I'm not going to raise the rent. You are a hobbyist. That's not how a business runs. Coca-Cola doesn't say, oh, we have so many great clients, we're never going to raise the price. That doesn't make sense. Like, things cost more. Like, sugar costs more. All the other ingredients cost more. So that's the same thing in real estate. The water bill costs more. Whatever electrical you got to do costs more. Maintaining the property costs more, right? For me to fix things up, it costs more, right? Everything else costs more. For me to maintain this costs more. So it doesn't make sense for me to leave the rents as they are when I know everything else in the world is costing more, right? And I know this gives landlords a bad rap because they're always like, you're always raising rent. Well, this is the difference between those landlords that always raise rent, find every reason to raise rent, and those are the ones who do a disservice. They don't always improve their properties, but they're always finding a way to raise rent. That's not who we're talking about, right? We're talking about, and this is the situation where they were the total opposite. They never improved it, right? Because we already showed that the kitchen and everything was never updated. They left everything the same, and then therefore they left all the rents the same. Not knocking people, but I got to keep it real, right? And keeping it real means calling people hobbyists because that's what they were. This almost 50% lower than what they could be getting on the market. That's insane. That is insane, right? This is insane. That means they at least bought this. Let me go look. We can find out. And this is the beauty of being an agent. $10 years ago, I said it. I said it 10 years ago. They bought this, and pretty much it seems like they kept the rents the same ever since then. How much they bought it for? $108,000, obviously. So again, this is a misconception. This long-term tenants in both units are rent-producing duplex. It's rent-producing because they have tenants in it, obviously, but it won't be producing once the new person buys it, right? They're winning. So like there is some negotiation. They've gotten their money, right? They've won off of this. But now if they're just so gun-ho on this has to be the price, I'm sorry, it's just wrong, right? It is wrong, right? They're making $15,000 when they could be making $28,000. So obviously there's the opportunities there to make this deal happen, right? It's there. It's just, are they willing to accept that they're wrong? They are wrong for wanting to try to sell this property at $250,000 when it is bringing in $15,000 a year, and that's before expenses. All right. Woo! Now I'm going to tell us. Before we come with our exit strategy, I want to give you the financing and the strategy that I think we should use. So this is a BRRRR that we should try to do. So we would be getting hard money loan. We're going to use Mach 1. They charge 4 points on all of it from the offer price and the rehab budget. So we're going to include both of those on the 4 points. They charge 14% annual percentage. We're going to hold the loan for the 6 months. Hopefully we'll be done with the project in 4 months. And then we can refinance to a DSCR loan, where the DSCR loan interest rate is going to be 8%. Run the deal based off of those parameters, and then choose ultimately what the exit will look like based on those numbers. All right. So obviously I gave it the exit strategy that we're looking for, right? Because I mean, we want to keep this property. It's not, a fix and flip opportunity because it's just too high. Maybe we can get it a little bit lower, and then it will help us out. So purchase price 250, rehab budget is 53. We're at 303. So that is just insane, right? So now we need 12,000 to get the 300,000 loan. 6 months, we're going to need a 21,000. 21,000 per month is going to be the holding cost, right? Total financing costs, points plus interest, we're at 33,000. So we need 33,000. Total project basis, so rehab, we need 33,000 to get the loan. So we're at 336. See, already we are way above. We're almost at the top of the market of what something sold in that area. This is what I feel like. Again, this is where I feel like they're hobbyists. Because if they ran these numbers, I don't see how you could put it on the market at that. Right? You're hoping, and that's where this is. When people hope, I can't assume you're an investor. Right? So here we're finishing it out. Financing terms. So okay. Let's do this. We're gonna do 80. Let's do 20. We're gonna do fully. Let's go 275. So I want it to change now. I'm gonna say, based on the information I'm giving you, we need, so right here, it's 275. That is the loan. That's how much money I got left in the deal. The two, right? 300,000. So like I'm coming to closing to get out of the hard money deal with money, right? The deal doesn't make sense at 250. And someone be like, you don't got to put that much in there. The deal doesn't make sense. The deal doesn't even make sense if you're owner occupied. I'm sorry, it doesn't. Maximum acceptable offer, right? 170 to 180. That's real. You're renting things out at 650. I got to put about 50 to 60, maybe even 70,000 in there to improve it. You're better off. So this is where I would take my client and say, let's take some money out. Let's use a HELOC. Let's fix this up. Unfortunately, let's move your tenants out. Let's find them a better home. Put them in a better situation. Let's fix up the property. Let's now put it on the market at 260 or 275. Right? If they put 50,000 into this property, they would be able to sell this at 275. They would actually get 25,000 more than what they're asking, because someone would actually buy it at that point, because it's actually what it's actually producing, right? Most people are not going to want to go in and kick out people that's been living there for 10 years. So that's why you got a lot of probably home buyers that are passing up on this, and just the simple fact that it's out of date and they're trying to push this off as 250, like some investor is going to buy it. And if an investor buy it, they got cash that they need to put away. They got money they can put down, and then it offsets all these things, and it makes sense, right? If you can put $80,000 because you got to put your money somewhere, then yeah, this is probably a great deal for you. All right. Provide final verdict, and then we'll be out of here, I think. All right. Here's the final verdict. One is buy and hold, conventional act. Most resilient, it requires significantly below current exit price. BRRRR viable only after substantial retrade. Current pricing traps exceeds capital, right? Basically, purchase price, rehab 53, hard money 12, 336, 275, 220, 116. This is a no-go. We're leaving too much money in that deal. This is again why I love this, because now it tells you how we can make this a deal, right? And this, if you want to follow up, like, all right, let's see if we can get this down to 190 at least, right? And then let's see if we do fix it up, we can get the ARV to 325, right? So these are things that is telling you, okay, this is how you can try to make this a deal, right? Instead of I just got to buy it at 250 and then I'll make it work. That's not how we work, right? So this is telling you maximum sellable offer is 180. These are some of the things, and this is again why I love this. It gives you 5 other things that you can do to and keep moving forward. That's what we're all about. We're all about continually moving forward, right? We're all about continually moving forward. We want to know what is next on the thing that we need to do, right? So there you have it. I mean, that was a deal that has been sitting on the market for 125 days, but these are the type of deals that we look at, right? And that's why I'm not one of those big proponents of finding deals on the off market. I'm obviously, me having my license, I'm a big proponent of deals being on market. And the reason why is exactly is this, right? If they were off market and say, nope, well, I'm only going to get 250, they wouldn't be realizing that they're at the wrong price. Right now, they've been on the market for 125 days and they're just sitting at 250. Eventually, the agent like, dude, look, the market is explaining it. Everyone knows because it's on everything, right? This is not, we're just telling the people we know, right? It's on the market. So it's on everything that shows up, that any realtor thing that pushes to anything, it's on Zillow, it's on everything else. It's on Google, right? It's everywhere. So 250,000 is not the price to sell this at, right? So people have to understand that, right? And the sooner you understand, the better off you're going to be. So with that being said, want to showcase here. I want to do this. Let me. Sorry. That's what I want here. This is our link to the Aspire Investing. This is how you can find out all our stuff. Our mission is to build a self-sustaining real estate ecosystem where those willing to learn, execute, and grow can create real, lasting wealth for themselves, their families, and their communities. We are turning ambition into assets and effort into legacy, right? That's what we're about. This is what we're doing this for. This is not about just meeting up and talking about real estate. We do have 4 engines, right? It's the transaction philosophy, that's the brokerage, the wealth engine, the helping with fix and flip and new construction, the education ecosystem, that's the school curriculum, that's the 6-level curriculum that we built from Lion Bull Investor, and then the mentorship mandate, right? The partner development, helping you grow, right? This is a life cycle, right? This is not about a deal. We're not here for a deal. If you're just looking for a deal, please go somewhere else. This is about creating a life, right? And using real estate to do it. Come here, you can click on and go to our actual Aspire community. We have things in there we're always posting. We have different groups and everything else. So general discussion, wins and levels up training, templates, deal analysis, mastermind deal room, office hours, Aspire 90-day program, and the Beast Council podcast. These are all things that we offer to our clients. Let me show you the pricing. So $29 is our standard, or you can pay $299 for the year. This gives you access to levels 1 through 3 of the Lion series, access to our monthly community meetups, participating in general discussion channels, and basic resources. Then we have the premium, which is $99 a month or $1,000 a year. You get everything in the standard plus extra. We give you access to the 90-day program. That's not the execution program. And then plus other things, curated templates and all that other bonus things, our Aspire podcast and archive. Oh, excuse me. And then we have our VIP, which is $5,000. That gets you into the execution lab. That gets you all the membership tiers. It gets you into some of our partnerships. And obviously, me being a broker and being around it, and if there's deals that come off, we obviously offer it to our members so they can be a part of it, just not our clients and things of that nature. So, again, welcome. Thank you again. Again, this is what we're trying to do here. We're trying to build something bigger, better, for the real estate investors in the southeastern Wisconsin. This is just not about getting people to meet up. This is about getting people to execute and build their real estate investment business. I'm Charles Clark, your real estate investment broker, here with another bright idea.